Hello, everyone. A very logical day to all of you and a very logical month also. So, with a new month, with a new week, and a new day. So, let's see what we have here in store for us today, May 1st, Indian Express, the first editorial. What I've taken here now is not the simple editorial that I usually take, but I've taken the article today. It's related to AI, and of course, you all can also understand this. So it's an interesting article, though, but you need to understand in the sense that if the central idea is extracted, if there's a question on, say, assumptions or conclusions or argument regarding the CR section of a test, also, okay, you should be able to extract all the answers well. ठीक है अभी हमें when we are reading we should be uh, our objective should be to understand this article in a manner, not only this article but whatever we are reading, we should be able to understand it according to the test that we are targeting. That we need to understand the author's thought process, the author's idea flow in the whole paragraph, in the whole passage. So first, May Indian Express pause on AI. The reading part. Sitting on the front lawn of my cottage in the forest sanctuary of Windsor in the Kumau Hills, I am struggling to pick my way between the arguments on whether the further development of artificial general intelligence should be paused or not. Right? So, we have understood this part of the author that he is in two minds. AI पर pause होना चाहिए या नहीं. Regular readers will know I write an occasional column from the remote fastness of this sanctuary. My cottage can only be approached by foot. The nearest market is a 45-minute drive, and I have to haul up the provisions required for the duration of my stay. Haul का मतलब होता है they need to collect or rather store कर लेना. आप उसको कर लो. ऐसे ऐसे समझ लो अभी. We are doing the words simultaneously. We need to understand the context first. So there is no grid electricity. I have installed solar and no running water. I source rainwater from tanks. But there is connectivity. I have access to 4G telephony and Wi-Fi. I am therefore able to keep track of the worldly affairs. Now, when I were I in Mumbai or Delhi, the debate triggered by the release of the neural language model ChatGPT 4 would have engaged my intellect. But I'm not in those cities. I'm instead perched in splendid isolation. पर्च का मतलब मेनली यूज होता है जब चिड़िया एक पेड़ की डाल पे बैठती है तो उसे पर्च कहते हैं राइट सो नाउ ही इज यूजिंग इट फॉर हिमसेल्फ बिकॉज ही इज देयर अमिड्स नेचर so you can understand that perch is only to sit. So he's instead sitting in splendid isolation. I forgot to add my nearest neighbor is a 20-minute walk on a promontory overlooking dense oak forest with the Himalayan peaks, Nanda Devi and Trishul in the foreground, the twitter of birds as the only ambient background sound, and the words of the Nobel Prize-winning Russian novelist Alexander Solzhenitsyn. Man is but an insignificant creature of creation. इनसिग्निफिकेंट है क्यों उससे ज्यादा सिग्निफिकेंट कई सारे और चीजें हैं रिवर्बरेटिंग इन माई ब्रेन रिवर्बरेटिंग हम कर चुके हैं पहले रिपीटिंग echoing just a few days back I have given this word echoing or reverberating is I gave you the word I remember wait just a second it was I think so reiterating ठीक है 2 या 3 दिन पहले की बात है रियटरेट यानी रिपीट करना तो रिवर्बरेट यानी वापस से पलट के आ जाना दैट इज echoing. No, it is not my mind driving my thoughts, it is my senses. And that is why I am not sure where to pitch my flag. See, this paragraph ending was similar to what he had mentioned earlier, whether this should be paused or no. Whether से आ जाता है confusion और वाला. ये देखो, ये रहा आपका first paragraph का point. Right? Whether this should be paused or no, and he was still not sure where to pitch his flag amounts to the same thing. So the first paragraph, first point, or rather two paragraphs, you have a major point here that he is not sure whether AI should be there should be a pause or no. on it. And the rest was the background building. That see, he was not sitting in any city, you can say metropolitan में नहीं थे. So he was more affected by the nature because he was surrounded by the nature. Had he been in the metropolitan, he would have been using his brains कि हाँ ऐसा ऐसा होगा या नहीं होगा. यहाँ पर उसने अपने सेंसेस यूज किया और इसीलिए वो ब्रेन क्योंकि ब्रेन नहीं यूज कर पा रहे थे, so he was not able to come to a particular decision. Now, I have read excerpts of the letter coordinated by the Future of Life Institute and signed by apparently thousands of scientists, technocrats, businessmen, academics, and others. Exact number of signatories is not known as there are many forged signatures, calling for a 6-month pause in the further development of neural language models. Right? There are people who are calling for this cause, and the author is not yet able to decide. The signatories include Elon Musk, who, ironically, was a co-founder of OpenAI. Ironically, क्यों? क्योंकि OpenAI के co-founder और फिर वही बोल रहे हैं कि इसमें एक पॉज लग जाना चाहिए कुछ समय के लिए. This is irony. The inventor of ChatGPT, but who sold his shares after a tiff with the other founders? Steve, the co-founder of Apple, an Israeli philosopher and author of Homo Deus, Yuval Noah Harari. The central message of the letter is that further unconstrained development of such language models could create human competitive intelligence. Could create मतलब ऐसा हो सकता है. क्या हो सकता है? अगर ये डेवलपमेंट अनकंस्ट्रेन्ड गए, अनकंस्ट्रेन्ड मीन्स नॉट कंट्रोल्ड. If this development is not controlled now, this is going to produce human competitive intelligence that, if not circumscribed, limited by governance protocols, could pose a profound risk to humanity. Further work should therefore be halted until such protocols are in place. ये रहा मेजर पॉइंट जिस पे साइंटिस्ट ने और फिलोसफर्स ने या दूसरे लोगों ने साइन किया है कि देयर शुड बी अ 6-month pause then. Why should there be a 6-month pause on all this? Because according to the scientist or this letter, this language model can create a human competitive intelligence. ऐसा इंटेलिजेंस जो कि ह्यूमंस के ब्रेन के साथ compete कर सकता है. और अगर ऐसा हुआ तो ह्यूमन का ब्रेन तो आगे चले नहीं चले, लेकिन वो मशीन काफी आगे और अच्छे से चलेगी. That means that is if it is unconstrained, right? So if there is no limit on it, it's going to work on its own. It's going to feed itself, right? So human competitive intelligence will be there if it is not circumscribed, if it is not limited by the governance protocols. यानी अगर policies या protocols नहीं बनाए जाते तो ये कहीं आगे तक निकल जाएगी, where human brains might start suffering or the humans will start suffering. So there is a profound risk according to these scientists. They say until such protocols are in place, पहले ये policies और protocols बन जाए, उसके बाद उसका डेवलपमेंट फिर से that is they can resume the development then, right? So third paragraph is giving you this, that there should be a pause, there's a letter, and this gives you the reason of why there should be a pause, because it is going to create or it could create human competitive intelligence which will put humanity into danger. एक सेंटेंस आपका ये हो जाता है. Now, this letter reminded me of the comment made by Robert Oppenheimer, the director of the Manhattan Project, that designed the atomic bomb when he became aware of the destructive potential of his creation. Right? He designed the atomic bomb, then he came to know about the destructive potential, and then he made this comment. What? Now, I am become death, the destroyer of worlds. Now, this is a loose translation of a verse from the Bhagavad Gita. So Oppenheimer spent much of the rest of his professional life lobbying to contain the fallout. Lobbying to contain the fallout. Contain का मतलब होता है limit करना. ठीक है. Fallout का मतलब होता है consequences, outcome. So consequences or outcome, result. And lobbying means working towards it, right? So he said something. Then now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds. ऐसा उसने बोला, जो कि किसी एक वर्स का ट्रांसलेशन है, भगवत गीता के एक लाइन का ट्रांसलेशन है, बट एक लूज ट्रांसलेशन है, दैट इज ही डिड इट से वर्ड टू वर्ड, जो कि इंग्लिश में इसका मीनिंग कुछ और ही हो जाता है, ठीक है. Then there would be people who would be criticizing or castigating him. Then how he spent his professional life thereafter is containing, is limiting the outcome. आउटकम किस चीज का था? उसका ये सेंटेंस बोलने का जो आउटकम हुआ, रिपरकशंस हुए, उसे वो होल्ड करने लगा. उसका टाइम इसी में निकल गया कि ही वॉज ट्राइंग टू explain the people what he had said and what not. Now, I have also read the counters to this letter. Which letter? Now we are referring to the first letter only, where the scientists had signed them. So many have dismissed it as a paranoid hype. Hype यानी unnecessary किसी चीज को बढ़ाना. Paranoia का मतलब होता है extreme fear. Now many have dismissed it as a paranoid hype. Some have argued that this is not an unexpected reaction. Every technological transformation has triggered opposition by vested interest. The abbot Johannes Trithemius opposed the invention of the printing press by Johannes Gutenberg in 1437 because he thought it would make monks lazy. ठीक है, एबॉट होते हैं जो इसमें चर्च में जो काम करते हैं. सो ही वाज थिंकिंग ऑफ दैट कि अगर प्रिंटिंग प्रेस आ गई तो फिर जो बाकी के लोग हैं, मॉन्क्स हैं, वो जिनको पढ़ना पड़ता था या बोलना पड़ता था, वो सब लेजी हो जाएंगे. द वर्ड ऑफ गॉड नीड्स टू बी इंटरप्रेटेड बाय द प्रीस्ट एंड नॉट स्प्रेड अबाउट लाइक डंग. He said the industrial Luddites of the early 19th century protested the mechanization of the knitting loom out of concern for the livelihood of the skilled weavers. Now, see, this paragraph is giving you examples to establish that whatever new comes our way, there are people who are going to oppose it. फर्स्ट उसने कहा था प्रिंटिंग प्रेस वाला, जिसने मना किया. सेकेंड एग्जाम्पल आया वीवर्स का. ठीक है, जो लोग हाथ से वीव करते थे या वीविंग मशीन जो थी, और फिर इंडस्ट्री में जो होने लगा निटिंग लूम जो था. सो मेकेनाइजेशन ऑफ द निटिंग लूम वाज डूइंग इट बाय हैंड and mechanization with a machine then. So they protested that mechanization also. Why? More contemporaneous, many have forewarned against the adverse impact on jobs, data privacy, and individual rights of the digital revolution. So there is much in these reactions, but had they led to the stoppage of further technological developments, society would have been worse off. जैसे हर किसी नई चीज पर ओपोनेंट्स तो थे, ठीक है, उन्होंने मना भी किया, उन्होंने रोकना भी चाहा, लेकिन अगर दुनिया या टेक्नोलॉजी इस बात पे रुक जाती, right? So then we would have been worse off. This is what the author is saying. On that, there is no doubt. Some have also adduced the geopolitical argument that a pause will grant China an open CSAM on AI, and that would be a setback for the rules-based liberal international order. Right? Open CSAM मतलब वो खुल जा सिम वाला वैसा है. ठीक है, तो अगर यहाँ पे वेस्टर्न वर्ल्ड ने इस पे रोक लगा दी, चाइना इज नॉट गोइंग टू लिसन टू एनीथिंग, एंड चाइना विल गेट दैट लीवेज कि ठीक है, 6 मंथ्स का अगर रोक लगा दिया तो तब तक वो अपना दिमाग यूज करके कॉपी पेस्ट करके और बहुत कुछ मतलब कर सकते हैं. आई एम नॉट टर्मिंग एनीथिंग, बट देन दैट इज व्हाट चाइना विल गेट दैट मच फ्री टाइम to catch up with the West, right? In this way, because what is the West doing? रूल बेस्ड लिबरल इंटरनेशनल ऑर्डर, ये सब लोग मानेंगे लेकिन चाइना नहीं मानने वाली है. तो दिस इज व्हाट द ऑथर सेज कि ये प्रॉब्लम हो जाएगा अगर अभी पॉज मिल जाता है तो, या लगा देते हैं तो. Now I reflect on these arguments, but my thoughts are not clear. तो से for and against, pros and cons दोनों समझ लिए. Still his thoughts are not clear. At one level, I am drawn to the implicit message in the letter that enough is enough. Understand now this implicit message. साइंटिस्ट ने कहा रोक लगा दो, ठीक है, क्योंकि ये ऐसा इंटेलिजेंस बन जाएगा जो कि ह्यूमन कॉम्पिटिटिव इंटेलिजेंस है ना. इम्प्लिसिट, इम्प्लाइड, अजम्पशन, आप कुछ भी बोल सकोगे अगर इसमें से एक क्रिटिकल रीजनिंग का क्वेश्चन समझ में आता है आपको तो. What is the implicit message of that letter? Why do the people, or what do the scientists think? What do the scientists assume? Right? Right? What can be inferred? ये भी हो सकता है. Just a change in the question and you get the answer, same thing. that what they said was enough is enough. इससे ज़्यादा क्या करेंगे हम AI का? Whilst human ingenuity has indeed improved the nature of our daily lives, it has also brought us to the brink of a planetary catastrophe. To the brink would mean to the edge of. There is no doubt that one reason I'm able to locate across Verdant Hills is that, as a declared sanctuary, Binsar has been protected from the ravages of industrialization. ठीक है, Verdant is green, lush. ठीक है, वो Verdant Hills होते हैं, काफी सारी वहां पे वेजिटेशन है, तो वो एक डिक्लेयर्ड सैंक्चुरी भी हो गई है. सैंक्चुरी का मतलब होता है इट इज अ सेफ प्लेस, इट्स अ शेल्टर. ठीक है, सैंक्ट का यूज होता है पीस के लिए और प्योर के लिए. Holy. So sanctuaries where they are at peace, they are sheltered. This Binsar has been protected from the ravages of industrialization. मतलब industrialization का जो असर होता है वो उस पे नहीं हुआ है अभी. I am also concerned, without being able to put a finger on the precise reasons for this concern, that if the motive force driving the phenomenally talented is personal profits rather than public welfare, and there are no protocols or guardrails. Thus, through the self reinforcing momentum creativity, a situation may well arise where the creator loses control over his creation. Okay? Now, see what the author has said, that he is concerned about one thing, that if the motive force that is bringing out all this, it is personal profits rather than पब्लिक वेलफेयर. तो पब्लिक वेलफेयर का ऑब्जेक्टिव नहीं है, उनका पर्सनल प्रॉफिट का अगर ऑब्जेक्टिव है और फिर हमारे पास कोई प्रोटोकॉल या गार्डिंग रेल्स नहीं है, इससे क्या होगा? सेल्फ रीइंफोर्सिंग मोमेंटम क्रिएटिविटी. थ्रू दिस सेल्फ रीइंफोर्सिंग मोमेंटम क्रिएटिविटी मतलब जितना मोमेंटम है उसमें से वापस से इट इज गोइंग ऑन इंक्रीजिंग, राइट? In this case, a situation may arise where the creator, जो बना रहा है ये सब, he loses control over his creation. Decision making would then pass on to the livers of the inanimate. तो decision अब कौन लेगा? Humans नहीं लेंगे. Decision लेने वाले कौन होगा? वो जो मशीन बन रही है, जो inanimate है, उसके livers पे चले जाएंगे. Albeit intelligent machine. Ramifications could be frightening. Ramifications, now you can understand the outcomes, consequences. All these could be frightening. मतलब सोच के ही डर लगेगा. जब हमारे हाथ में हमारा दिमाग कुछ नहीं कर पाएगा और मशीन हमसे बेटर कर लेगी. You see, write an essay or let the machine write an essay. You'll get to know. Now, at another level, however, I wonder how the absence of technological progress we can get back on the rails of sustainable development. That means अगर technological progress नहीं होता है तो क्या हम sustainable development की तरफ आ सकेंगे? क्योंकि क्वेश्चन यही था ना कि हम इस पे पॉज दें एआई पर या नहीं दें. 6 मंथ का पॉज चाहिए, लोगों ने साइन किया. नो विल दैट पॉज हैव द डिजायर्ड इफेक्ट्स? यस और नो विल ऑल दिस गो टू चाइना? अनदर प्रॉब्लम. तो प्रॉस एंड कॉन्स उसने दिए. राइट नाउ द सेकंड थिंग ही इज थिंकिंग दैट इफ देयर इज अ पॉज and there's no technological progress, then what? Do we think that we'll come up with a sustainable development? Will we be able to do that? He says one reason the world is still hopeful tackling global warming is that technology has rendered clean energy a competitive alternative to fossil fuels. ये टेक्नोलॉजी के हिसाब से है कि हमारे पास एक क्लीन एनर्जी बन पाती है. Further technological progress should enable the sequestration carbon from the atmosphere, sequestration of carbon from the atmosphere. Now, that would be a transformational step in the journey towards decarbonization. This is what he is showing by example that this technological progress is important. So, I also wonder about the practicality of getting individuals to pause the innate instinct to experiment, innovate, and create. लोगों का दिमाग में कैसे बनेगा वो पॉज का बटन कि देखो अब तुम सोचना बंद कर दो, अभी हमें नया कुछ नहीं बनाना है. वी डोंट नीड इनोवेशन नाउ, सो देयर शुड बी अ पॉज फॉर 6 months. This is what he's saying. He's wondering about the practicality of getting individuals to pause the innate instinct to experiment, innovate and create. Innate means something that is inherent. उनके दिमाग में है ही सही ना, वो instinct है ही. तो वो जो basic instinct है, the instinct that they hold, the humans hold to experiment, innovate and create, how can they put a stop to that? Would that not require upending the liberal values that place individual rights the center of public governance? Then how can you call yourself a liberal democracy? हम liberal खुद को free कैसे बोलेंगे अगर हमें सोचने पर innovate करने पे भी पाबंदी है तो? This is what the author is thinking. Now, as I said, I'm not clear where to pitch my flag, but I sense the real problem is not the unbridled momentum of AI. Unbridled का यूज आ गया आपके पास. अनब्राइडल्ड का मतलब होता है अनकंट्रोल्ड. ब्राइडल्ड वर्ड हम पहले कर चुके हैं, राइट? BRIDLE, ब्राइडल मीन्स कंट्रोल, तो अनब्राइडल्ड वुड मीन not controlled momentum of AI. It is the international community's inability to look beyond narrow jingoistic interests towards a collaborative effort to address the problems of the global commons. What he mentions is jingoistic is being national. ठीक है, नेशनलिज्म पे ज्यादा फोकस होता है, जिंगोइज्म वो होता है, मतलब ग्लोबलाइजेशन का ऑलमोस्ट ऑपोजिट होता है. कोलैबोरेटिव यानी मिलजुल के काम करना, एंड को एंड लेबर यू हैव, right? So this is a collaborative effort to address the problems, is to cater or tackle the problem, deal with the problem of the global commons. मतलब आम आदमी जो पूरे दुनिया में है उसके बेनिफिट के लिए या उसके प्रॉब्लम्स को हटाने के हिसाब से कुछ काम करना चाहिए, कोलैबोरेटिव एफर्ट होना चाहिए. Pause on AI will not solve this underlying problem. On the contrary, may exacerbate it by diminishing technology's talismanic power. Exacerbate is worsen. So pause karna would not be a solution to this problem. They can't overcome this problem in this way. The underlying problem जो इन्होंने अभी mention की. What else will happen is the technology's power will be diminished, that is reduced. Right. So I hope you have understood all this that we have discussed. There were many paragraphs, but the major point here would be one, AI, the author was in two minds, as I said earlier. He was in two minds whether to give a pause to this AI or not to give a pause. Then he comes up with the explanation, or rather explaining himself. If they put a pause, then what is going to happen? And why not to put a pause here? What will happen? राइट, अदरवाइज व्हाट विल हैपन. तो एंड वाला जो दो पांच पैराग्राफ थे उसमें कहा कि अगर पॉज नहीं करते हैं so this is going to like it is going to bring those things further in the sense that they'll be able to address the problems there, and if there is a pause these problems will not be overcome properly. Why? Because technology improvement or advancement helps us in so many things, and in the previous two paragraphs they had given you the examples also. ठीक है, कहाँ कहाँ पे कैसे कैसे टेक्नोलॉजी हेल्प किया है टेक्नोलॉजी ने, वो आ जाता है. Right? So this is what he is doing. He is reflecting on the arguments which are stated by the others, and he's trying to come up with his own opinion, which he is still unable to. So, in short, if I write this, if this was given in the passage only here. So, every technological transformation has triggered opposition. इसके examples थे by vested interests. Abbot Johannes opposed the invention of the printing press. The word of God needs to be interpreted. ये उन्होंने कहा था. Industrial Luddites of the early 19th century, ये कहा था. All these are examples to show what? More contemporaneous, many have forewarned against the adverse impact on jobs. So this is not the main idea, so to say, but this is an indication that examples will give you the main idea. Now, through this example, what was given, ये पूरा paragraph का ही हिस्सा है, right? But then what was given here, that there is Opposition, people are going to oppose. If something is new, right? एक न्यू आइडिया अगर आती है मार्केट में तो डेफिनेटली इट इज गोइंग टू ट्रिगर एन ओपोजिशन, राइट? नाउ विल दे स्टॉप? टेक्नोलॉजी एडवांसमेंट स्टॉप हो जाएगा क्या? नहीं। अगर हो जाता है स्टॉप, if yes, this is going to create problem. How? Why? Because technology is not going to go further. ये आगे कैसे बढ़ेगी? नहीं बढ़ेगी। और अगर ये लोग नहीं मानते हैं इसको, अपोजिशन की बातें नहीं सुनते हैं, तो क्या होगा? टेक्नोलॉजी आगे बढ़ जाएगी, इंप्रूवमेंट हो जाएगा और नए नए इनोवेशंस होते जाएंगे। दैट इज इट, राइट? सो from this we can understand that though he was unclear in the first part, that he is not able to decide, ठीक है, कि पॉज होना है या नहीं होना है। और फिर उसने कहा था, ये एक्सप्लेनेशन ने एग्जाम्पल दिया उसने, राइट? बट द मेजर पॉइंट विल बी व्हाट? दैट वेदर देयर शुड बी अ पॉज, तो देयर वर आर्ग्यूमेंट्स फॉर में, एंड देन ही निगेटेड इट विद द आर्ग्यूमेंट्स अगेंस्ट में। इसका मतलब ऑथर के हिसाब से पॉसिबिलिटी ये है ज्यादा कि पॉज नहीं होना चाहिए, क्योंकि अगर हो जाता है तो देन व्हाट विल हैपन? सो ही एस्टैब्लिश्ड हिज ओन आर्ग्यूमेंट without saying so, but what can be understood from it, that the author doesn't want a pause to be there. Why so? Because he came up with this. If there's a pause, then what about the other innovations that would come up with the authors, with the people's new ideas, right? Second, if there is a pause, China would be very, would get time easily to overcome all this, to understand all this and come up with something new which will be unbridled, uncontrolled. वो खुद को लिमिट में नहीं रखने वाली है। तो ऑथर जब इतना इंटेंस होके बोलेगा या लिखेगा, so we need to understand from it, we need to infer from it, we need to conclude. Now, inference would be what we can understand. The author would not be for putting bringing a pause there in the AI. इसका मतलब हम ये समझ सकते हैं कि ऑथर पॉज के खिलाफ है, पॉसिबल। लेकिन कंक्लूजन क्या होगा? कंक्लूजन विल बी दैट द ऑथर वाज इन टू माइंड्स ऑफ वेदर देयर शुड बी अ पॉज और नो, right? And therefore he was coming up with all the plus points also and the negative points also, putting a pause there, right? I hope you are getting this. You can understand this particular passage by applying prep. ये हमेशा याद रखना कि जो हम आर्टिकल करते हैं वो क्योंकि लेंदी होता है, ठीक है, तो उसमें दो तीन पैराग्राफ्स, मेनी अ टाइम दे आर based on examples only. So if you need to catch the central idea, you should pick out these examples also and understand what are these examples actually proving. So that becomes the central idea. That exemplifies itself that what was the there in the author's mind. Otherwise, why would he give 3 points here? What I just read. ठीक है, ये 3 points क्यों देता वो? कि प्रिंटिंग प्रेस का ऑपोजिशन हुआ था, फिर इंडस्ट्री का ऑपोजिशन हुआ था, मैकेनाइजेशन ऑफ द निटिंग लूम का ऑपोजिशन हुआ था, और डिजिटल रेवोल्यूशन का भी ऑपोजिशन हुआ था। तो ये 3 एग्जाम्पल्स क्यों दिया ऑथर ने? क्योंकि इसमें से हमें मेन आइडिया निकल जाएगा, राइट? दैट इज देयर इज समथिंग न्यू कम्स एंड देन डेफिनेटली देयर इज एन ऑपोजिशन ऑलवेज। विल द international, that is the where company countries, would they put a stop to this or put a pause to this? Not a stop. And the author is in two minds, is not specifically or explicitly said anything right now. So that will be all. I have not got any vocabulary. हमने साथ में कर लिया है, उसे discuss. So that's all for today. And thank you and have a very logical day ahead. And you need to come up with a resolution for this week. So kindly keep one bigger article to be read, as well as to mark all the difficult words. And that is what you need to do. You need to work on the words that you come across such articles, right? So thank you.